This is how I got Gemini to send me a full weekly briefing every Monday morning without me asking for it, and that's just one of 7 features I found after spending 40 hours inside every settings menu Google has. So I'm going to show you each one step by step. And by the end, you'll have Gemini doing work that used to take your entire day. The default version of Gemini starts from 0 every time, but there is a way to build a version that already knows exactly how you work, so you never have to waste time explaining the same things twice. It's called Gems, and you'll find it on the left side of the Gemini interface. If you click on it, you'll see some pre-made options by Google, like Brainstormer, Writing Editor, and Career Guide. These are fine for getting started, but the real value comes from building your own. I'll click New Gem, and now I can give it a name and write out the instructions. The way to think about this is in 3 parts: role, task, and output. Role is who Gemini should act as. Task is what it should do when you give it something. And output is exactly how you want the result formatted. So let's say I want a gem that drafts meeting summaries in my exact format. I'll type, role, you are my executive assistant. Task, when I paste meeting notes, create a summary with 3 sections: key decisions, action items with owners and deadlines, and open questions. Output, keep it under 300 words. Use bullet points only for action items. Tone should be direct and professional. And you can make this even smarter by uploading reference files. Click Add Files, and you can attach up to 10 documents that the gem can access in every conversation. So I could upload my company's communication guidelines, previous meeting summaries that I liked, or project briefs that give context. Once you save it, that gem shows up in your sidebar, and every conversation you start with it already knows your role, your format, and your preferences. No more repeating yourself. And this is just the foundation, because gems work even better when Gemini can actually access your workspace. Which brings us to a setting that changes everything. There's a setting that controls whether Gemini can see your emails, your calendar, and your Drive files. And for most users, it's turned off, which means Gemini is completely disconnected from the tools you actually use for work. To fix this, open Gemini, click on Settings in the bottom left, then click on Connected Apps. You'll see a list of Google services you can link, and the one you want to enable is Google Workspace. Once it's connected, the way you actually use it is by typing @ before your prompt. So if I want Gemini to work with my Google tools, I'll type @ Workspace find the deck from my Thursday client call. And Gemini searches your inbox, finds the email with the attachment, and surfaces it for you. Or I can type @ Gmail draft a reply to the last email from David about the Q1 report. And it pulls the thread, understands the context, and writes a response that actually fits the conversation. The @ symbol is basically how you tell Gemini which tools to use. You can type at Gmail for emails specifically, at Google Drive if you want it to search your files, or at Workspace to capture everything at once. It keeps all your Google apps accessible in a single chat without switching between tabs. And this Workspace connection is already useful on its own, but it gets even better when you combine it with what I'm about to show you. This next feature is the one from the beginning of the video, and it's probably the one that saves me the most time every single week. The way it works is you just type a prompt that includes when you want it to run. So I'll type, every Monday at 7 a.m., summarize my calendar for the week, and highlight any meetings that need preparation. Gemini recognizes that this is a scheduled request. Simply switch on the toggle it provides, and now that prompt runs automatically every Monday morning. So by the time you log in, that briefing is fully generated and ready for review. You can have up to 10 scheduled actions running at the same time, and you manage all of them in settings under scheduled actions. You can pause them, edit the timing, or delete ones you don't need anymore. The use cases here are pretty wide. You can schedule daily briefings of your calendar and emails, or you can even automate a weekly report on everything. Once this is set up, Gemini works for you even when you're not there. And this automation piece connects directly to the next feature, because if Gemini is running tasks automatically, it helps when it actually remembers your preferences. Right now, every time you start a new conversation with Gemini, it treats you like a stranger. It doesn't know how you like things formatted, or what you've told it 100 times before. But there's a way to change that. Go to Settings, then Instructions for Gemini, and type something like, remember that I prefer bullet points for action items and paragraphs for context. And now Gemini actually pays attention to patterns across your conversations. It learns that you prefer concise responses, or that you work in a specific industry, or that you like a certain format for emails. And Gemini confirms that it saved this preference. From now on, it applies that formatting without you asking. You can do this for writing style, communication preferences, project context, really anything that you find yourself repeating. Now, there are times when you don't want Gemini remembering what you asked. Maybe it's a sensitive question, or you're brainstorming something you don't want influencing future responses. For that, there's temporary chat mode, which you'll find as an icon next to New Chat. When you start a temporary conversation, nothing gets saved. It won't appear in your history, and it won't influence future responses. These conversations get deleted after 72 hours, and if you ever want to undo a saved preference, just tell Gemini to forget it. I'll type, "Forget my memory about formatting preferences," and it removes that specific context while keeping everything else. Now, personal context helps Gemini remember your preferences, but if you need it to remember actual documents and research, that's where the next feature comes in. Google has its own research platform called Notebook LM, and it's designed for exactly the kind of deep work that Gemini's regular chat isn't built for. You can upload up to 300 sources into a single notebook, including PDFs, websites, YouTube videos, and Google Docs. And Notebook LM analyzes all of it and lets you ask questions across everything at once. But what I want to show you here is that Gemini can now access your Notebook LM directly. So if you've already built a notebook with your research, your contracts, your project documentation, whatever it is, you can attach it to a Gemini conversation and query across all of those sources while also pulling from live web search. To do this, click the plus icon in Gemini and select Notebook LM. Choose the notebook you want to attach, and now that entire knowledge base is available in your conversation. This means you could have 200 research papers in one notebook, attach it to Gemini, and ask a question that combines your research with the latest information online. Now, Notebook LM handles research, but at some point, all of this research and context needs to turn into something you can actually use, whether that's a presentation, a document, or something more interactive. And Gemini has a built-in workspace for exactly that. To open it, click on Tools in the text box, then select Canvas. Once it's enabled, you can ask Gemini to create something specific. So I'll type, "Create a 10-slide presentation on Q1 marketing performance for my leadership team." And instead of giving me a text response, Gemini opens Canvas on the right side of the screen and builds out the entire presentation, slides, structure, formatting, all of it. You can edit directly inside Canvas, ask Gemini to adjust specific slides, and when you're done, export the whole thing to Google Slides. But presentations are just one piece. Canvas can also generate working web apps, infographics, and interactive quizzes from any content you feed it. So if I upload a dense PDF and type, "Turn this into an interactive quiz that tests the main concepts," Gemini builds a functional quiz with questions, answer tracking, and scoring. The trick is being specific about what you want. Vague prompts give you vague outputs, but when you tell Gemini exactly what format you need, Canvas delivers something that would have taken hours to build manually. Now, Gemini also works directly inside other Google apps, and there's one in particular where this matters most. Inside Google Sheets, you can use AI directly in your spreadsheet with a single formula. The formula is equals AI, and it works like any other function. You type it into a cell, give it an instruction, and it processes whatever data you pointed at. So let me show you what this actually looks like. Here, I have a column of raw customer feedback. In the next column, I'll type, "AI, categorize this feedback as price, UI, privacy, or other, A2. And Gemini reads that cell and returns a category. Now I can just drag this formula down and it processes every single row. 50 rows of feedback categorized in seconds, when manually, this would have taken an hour. You can do the same thing for translation. I'll type equals AI, translate to Spanish, A2, and drag it down for instant localization across the entire column. Or if you don't remember a formula, you can just describe what you want. I'll type AI calculate the percentage change between these two values, B2, C2. And Gemini figures out the formula for you. The limit is that only the first 200 cells with AI formulas process at once, and there are short-term usage caps. But for batch processing tasks that used to require manual work or third-party tools, this changes everything. But even with all of this set up, there's still one thing missing. Knowing how to use AI is one thing, but proving it on a resume is something else entirely. There's a new wave of AI certifications that are starting to outrank traditional degrees on job applications, and one of them takes less than a week to complete. I break down exactly which ones are worth your time in this video, so go ahead and click on the screen, and I'll see you there.